Hello everyone, my name is Greg. I go by Murphy14 on the subreddit and Murphy on the Discord. And today I'm going to be doing analysis of a turf race. And this is just kind of how I run through it. On the previous video, I did a dirt race, 5,000 level claimer. This is a race on the same card. This is a turf race that is a maiden claiming 16,000. Um, so I'm not going to go through kind of all the basics how I did with the last video, but I do think that turf is different. So we're going to be looking at a couple different things that I did not look at last time. Um, but like before, we're going to start with track bias. So it says here that the turf, since the meet started, has been um, not as speed favoring as dirt, right? So if you remember on the last video, the dirt said that horses were usually within 1.5 lengths at the first call and less than a length at the second call. This one is saying winners, they're coming from further back. They're not being able to wire, from gate all the way to the finish line. They're not leading it all the way around. And it says here that throughout the meet, 14% of horses have been able to wire. Um, and most of these horses here are 3.5 lengths and 2 lengths. So they're not too far back still, right? They're not coming from way behind, but they're also not being able to win it from the lead. So we're going to be looking for horses, who are going to be kind of sitting mid-pack, or maybe they're going to be up front more, but they won't be leading. But in the past week here, it says that um, horses are 2.8 lengths within the front in the first call and 1.2 lengths at the second call. And 22% of horses have wired. So I think that's going to be like 2 out of 9. So pretty good, actually. And it's saying that in the meet, most of these horses have been winning from the outside. In my opinion here, there's not really too much of a track bias, right? It says that, average winning from each section 1 to 3, 4 through 7, or 8 out is more or less the same, right? Anywhere from 9 to 14%. In my opinion, that doesn't mean anything. Okay, so next, eliminate half the field. Something else that I look at when I look at these turf races is kind of how the sire or the dad and the dame, the mom, did. So it says here that with the sire, first time turf, they win 4%, and turf overall that they win 10%. This is for their progeny. For the dame sire, so it's going to be Pleasant Tap, not Pleasant Ring. That's the name of the mom. The name of of her sire was Pleasant Tap. So it says here that Pleasant Tap, 5% first time turf, 10% overall. And then here is the dame's stats. So it says here the dame was unraced. She has 2 turf winners. She has had 7 starters, 4 winners, and 1 stakes winner. And the stakes winner, it could be a grade 1, or it could be, let's just say, like a 30,000 stakes race. But it was a stakes winner regardless. And because these are maidens, none of these horses have won. So I look at that, and next I look at how has the horse done on previous turf starts. Do they like being on the turf? Because some horses, they don't like running on grass. Some horses, they do like running on it. And a lot of that, in my opinion, comes down to breeding. One last thing to look at is how do jockeys do on turf? Some of the jockeys, they just really excel on turf. One of them on the West Coast is Flavion Pratt and Umberto Rispoli. They win at like above 20%. And in my opinion, the grass is a lot more trip dependent, compared to dirt, where if you can get to the front, you have a pretty good chance of winning already. That's not true for the turf. You might find yourself in a lot more traffic. There's horses, they might be closing, but there's other horses that are kind of blocking them. And so it's something just kind of think about if you're going to be watching replays, or if you're going to be looking at the comments here on the side is, how, did these horses get blocked? You'll see things like checked, blocked, and steadied. Those are kind of words where it's like, okay, the horse didn't have a very clean trip in their race. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the number 1 first. So this is only the third start with this trainer. Previous turf starts, they were okay. They were kind of around this level class. The previous turf starts were in a 12,000 maiden claiming. This is a 16,000 maiden claiming. We saw before that the dame, she had other winners, and it says here that her fouls have actually earned over 1 million, which is actually pretty impressive. And the one it looks like being the best was this one named Bad Dep by a horse named Grand Reward. So this is the half sibling. A full sibling would be if we saw a horse that said Soldat right here by Soldat. So let's see if she did have one. Nope. So no full siblings. It looks like some of them just did okay on the turf. Depending on what I see there, I might actually just go look up the horse on Equibase and see, okay, how good was the horse? The horse that had won, 800,000, it was in like 63 starts. So the horse, they raced a lot. Okay, and then regarding trainer stats, we can see here, throw off the layoff, they're okay, but they have a pretty good ROI. So whatever one win this is going to be being, they probably won for a lot. We don't have any turf starts here. Turf ratings, they're okay. And then regarding breeding, we already saw 10%. I'm already not really too thrilled with this horse, so I'm probably just going to toss. Next here, a horse who's been in this same class now. Compared to the previous horse, I believe these figures are going to be faster, so 70s. So this horse is faster, although something happened last time, not sure what, where they finished 22 lengths back. And it just says here, settled outside of foes to prove no factor. Who knows, right? Their last race, they had their best figure, so maybe this is a bounce. There's a different rider this time. So you see this rider here, Jesus Castanon, with this trainer wins 31% of the time in 16 starts. Regarding trainer statistics, trainer does pretty well in maiden claiming, 23%, and turf starts, 14%, not too bad. This isn't the first start on turf for this horse, so the overall, kind of the same as the last one. And then the dame has had no turf winners from 3 starts and 1 winner overall. So nothing spectacular, really. It's a horse to kind of consider. So we're just going to put, board there for now. Next horse. This is kind of interesting in that the trainer and the jockey is the same, it looks like. And he actually, when he's like statistical trainer, is actually okay, right? Look at this, $11, for 2 different ones, and so kind of interesting, right? Because he hasn't had this horse for that long. Something happened in 2017, and this horse was seen again, over 2 years later. Kind of first start showed some speed, but still lost by 15 and 14ths. And then when he jumped on the board, he only lost by 2 lengths. So actually, I think this horse is pretty interesting. You can see here, horse rode the rail to the quarter pole and then angled out 6 wide. So didn't really save any ground towards the end, it looked like. If we watched the replay, we could probably see that. Went up in class from last time, was racing in 25,000 and is now in 16,000. Pretty interesting horse in my opinion. Kind of middle of the road turf statistics. And then I've already kind of said before in the last video, we talked about pace, and they had E, EP, P, and S. This horse has an S, meaning that they're kind of sustained runner, but they have a 5, which is also kind of interesting, right? So something to just kind of think about. I actually like this horse more than the 2, and on the pace projector, it actually has the 3 in front, leading all these horses. Now, I know at the beginning of the video I said that's not something that's been proven to be a good angle so far, but we'll see. I think the horse is interesting. We'll see how these other horses look for pace, right? This red here, that's like fast pace. So when the horse in these first 2 starts, when they were running fast, and then the horse just kind of stopped. So we'll see. Next horse, first time trying turf. We can see here on the statistics for the sire and the dame, 6% and 4%. So not great, and even not great after the first start, 7 and 9%. The trainer, 0 for 10, first time on the grass. Dirt to turf, 3%. So that's probably going to end up being like 1 in 35. The Dame has only had one turf winner. Um, and then, interestingly, Camacho is one of the better riders in Tampa, but he doesn't ride for this trainer. 0 for 2. So kind of interesting. You know, but I'm gonna say toss for now. Next, another horse that is doing turf for the first time. So let's see, 7 and 8% first time. Fast Anna is a newer sire, and so this 16% might be a falsely elevated 16%. Trainer stats, maiden claiming 0 for 11. Dirt to turf 0%. This is one of the newer trainers, so I don't really know how he does on turf starts. Overall, he's 11%. So that's probably gonna be like what 2 for 18 maybe. Jockey, he doesn't ride here. Like he doesn't get too many mounts compared to these others. He's only had 61 compared to 372 for the other rider, and he's 0%. 0 for 12 on the turf. So he's not a great turf rider. I'm gonna toss. Next, so something that I also think about. So I see a horse like this, and they've had 15 starts, a lot of it on the grass. When I start seeing these horses that have had a lot of starts, I really kind of toss them. You will lose to these horses occasionally, where there's a horse that has like 40 starts and they win, but that's going to be in the very lowest level of claiming. Um, you know, we'll see how this horse kind of looks because there's a new trainer, but the same rider. Um, so we'll see. Um, First time with trainer, 23%. His turf starts though are only 9%. But look here at the sire, 0%. This horse has never had a turf winner. And I don't know how many the, the progeny amount he's had. I don't know how many offspring that this horse has created. But even looking at the Dame, 11%. That's not great. I've never heard of this Wiseman's Ferry sire. Um, Jockey actually does okay on turf, 12% in 17 starts. That's actually okay. Um, Again, though, I'm really just kind of turned off by the amount of starts that this horse has had. The numbers really aren't that great. Even when the horse has a fast pace to run into, they're 7 and 8 lengths back. They don't really close too well. With this fast of a pace, the horse should really just be, finishing second, or they should have won, because that's this horse's running style is they're coming from the back. They're a closer. So I'm okay tossing. Yeah, even 0 for 2 for a sibling, I'm okay with tossing. Uh, okay, next, another horse that's trying grass for the first time. Uh, 7% and 12%, kind of better than we've seen before, but still not great. Trainer, uh, 0 for 3, first on grass. 4%, third off the layoff. And dirt to turf, 50%. So, you know, not great. I think this horse is still kind of interesting. Um, but, I mean, 5% turf for the rider. Turn jockey combo 0%. I feel okay tossing. Something else to kind of notice too is, in my opinion, if a horse has been racing on synthetic, the blue here, that is a lot more easily translated to turf than it is to dirt. Um, so if a horse likes a synthetic, in my opinion, they're more likely to do better on turf. That's just my opinion. I'm okay tossing this horse. Next horse, let's see, and he's not. Horse isn't trying turf for the first time, but has had a majority of these starts be on dirt. So we're gonna go to here, 11% and 10%. Trainer turf starts, 17% and 6 tries, so 1 for 6. Dirt to turf, 0% and 1. So really not a whole lot of trainer statistics to rely on. I think pretty highly of Daniel Centeno, though. He is a pretty good rider overall. Doesn't He rode this horse last time. You see the horse was in front before finishing second, and now he's back on the horse again. No turf winners, from the Dame. Um, I think kind of an interesting horse though, right? I think it's going to depend on what horse is going to show up tomorrow. Is it going to be the horse that likes to be in front? Because if that's true, It doesn't have the A here being here with the 3, but there could be a scenario tomorrow where he does send, this 8 and the 3 and the 8, they're trying to battle each other to be in front, and they both get tired, and that sets it up for another horse. So, interesting horse. I will put here, just a horse to consider. Um, Next horse finished second last time. Looks like that was kind of their best finish recently. Doesn't really like the dirt too much, it looks like. Same kind of class, has been kind of racing in the 12,000 to 16,000 class for a while. Not trying turf for the first time, right? So 11% and 8% for turf. The Dame has had a couple turf winners. Trainer statistics: 8% for a route, 4% for maiden claiming, 12% turf. The the rider, I don't play Tampa too often, but I've never heard of this rider. He's 1 for 48, no turf. Probably gets the chance again because he just barely lost last time. But this horse has had 14 starts, and only two of them, two second places. So I'm not really too sold on the horse. They did have one workout. It was okay. There's like we kind of said before, consistent workouts. Workouts haven't been consistent. Let's see how the siblings are. So by forestry, so we'll see if there's another sibling by forestry. We'll see how they did. There's not. Um, Even though this horse is 5-2, I'm okay with tossing. I'm just really not a fan. And then this last horse here, before we go to the ultra eligibles, I think this 70s is actually the fastest that I can remember seeing. Kind of tied with this third. The second place horse has had a couple 70s, kind of inconsistent though, right? 60, 70, 59, 74. Um, the 8, I don't think that you can take a dirt number and put it on turf. The one turf start they had, just as they faded, they only got a 35. Um, so let's see how the trainer statistics look. Third off the layoff, 0 for 12. Turf starts 9%, so basically um, 9 out of 100, and then maiden claiming 5%. Now uh, the breeding is kind of middle of the road. Has never had a turf winner, the Dame. And then the jockey wins 10% on turf, so he's won 5 races on turf pretty much. Um, I think the horse is interesting, and one of the reasons why is because the horse is still kind of lightly raced. The kind of figures are kind of there. And something else to consider is some of these horses, they do better at 3 years old than they do at 2 years old. Some horses just do better the older they get. Some horses, they do better when they're younger. I think a classic case of a horse who did better that was younger was Bolt Doro. He did great when he was 2, and he kind of just faded off at 3, and then he never raced at 4. So it looks like this horse, now that they're older, maybe kind of doing a little bit better, has had improved speed figures. Um, I think a horse to consider, especially if the thought that if the 3 and the 8 kind of go together for running, this might be a horse who can kind of clean up kind of towards the end. When I look at ultra eligibles, I don't really handicap them as much as I did, for the horses that are already in. I'll just kind of take a glance at them. I'm already not interested in this first horse because the trainer has never won, the jockey has never won. Um, let's see. So same trainer as the last one, hasn't done well on turf, just hasn't done well overall. The jockey's already on another horse, and so his horse would have to be scratched, or the trainer would have to find another jockey. So kind of not interested. Um, Next one, same kind of thing, right? This horse has had 11 starts. Actually did okay in these maiden races. Got a different trainer, put him back in maiden, it just didn't do well. So um, let's see. I mean, there's just not a whole lot there. I think if this horse drew in, I think they'd be interesting, especially considering that they've had some quicker numbers in the past, but they're still not really one of my favorites. And usually how the order goes is in numerical order. So if one of these horses scratched, the 11 gets first chance. If they don't want to do the 11, then the 12 gets it. Then it's 13 and a 14. So I'm just going to preliminarily eliminate the 13. And then the 14, again, a trainer who just doesn't win very often. These numbers are not impressive. A lot more impressive than the 13, though, that's for sure. So maybe what we'll do is we'll put the 13 here, but just know that the 13, you know, might not draw in. Okay, so we've done our first pass through. We've actually have half the field. We actually have less than half the field if we are going to go with the thought that the 13 is not going to run. So we have the 2, 3, 8, and 10. Now up front on my first pass through, I was already kind of liking the 3. Um, I like that the horse is kind of dropping in class. It's the horse has had interesting running lines. Was kind of shoved to the front in the first 2 races that they came back, and then this last one has shown didn't need the front and still kind of closed okay. Um, they had one work, so okay, that's fine, even though the race was less than a month ago. Um, I'm gonna move this horse kind of preliminarily to my favorite. We skipped the 2 here, so the 2 I thought was also interesting because gets a different rider, so kind of rider upgrade. Um, I'm pretty sure Castanon does okay on turf because he's one of the better riders on the circuit. So 16%. Usually the riders to kind of look out for at Tampa: Castanon, Gallardo, Camacho, and Centeno. Those kind of 4 are the ones that have the highest win rates. You're usually going to find at least one of those jockeys winning on the day or multiple times. Um, I think the breeding was okay. The trainer, maybe he just, I'm not kind of, maybe the horse doesn't like dirt, right? Maybe the horse is just more of a turf runner. Um, it's okay. I think I'm okay putting the horse kind of right now as a B, kind of second choice. Not sure what happened last race where they lost by 22, because that's kind of unusual, right? That's kind of level to, how the horse have been doing when they're on the dirt. Next is the 8. The 8 I kind of liked because of the jockey, right? But kind of everything else about it, nothing spectacular. When I think of First Dude as a sire for turf, he's not a horse that immediately comes to mind as, oh man, this horse does great when he has, runners on the turf. Um, I think I'd probably leave the horse as, you know, a C, as kind of an outside shot. The one turf start wasn't spectacular and got a jockey who, you know, wins more often than others. The 10, I did like the 10. I kind of said before that horses that are older, or as they get older, they could be improving. Um, this horse might not be in the front, but they're going to be kind of mid-pack, kind of looks like. Third off the layoff is kind of one of the kind of key things to look at for horses. There's second third off the layoff, even though this trainer hasn't won it all third off the layoff. 12 isn't a big sample size. The trainer actually does okay with turf starters. The breeding is there. Um, so I'm gonna make this horse a B. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how I'm gonna leave it for now. I do like the 3, kind of a bit more than the others. I think there's kind of a versatile running style. I think if I had to choose between the 2 and the 10, I would probably go with the 10. It's kind of a toss-up because the 2 you're getting better odds, right? You're getting 10 to 1 compared to this one. You're getting 7 to 2. The rider, Castanon, is definitely better than the rider on the 10, in my opinion. Speed figures are, I don't know, they're kind of equivalent, right? Um, with the 70s. You could just say, okay, something happened last time, the horse didn't like it. You can say we're just going to toss the last race and we're going to toss the dirt starts. And if you do that, you kind of have a pretty good running line horse if you could just consider, you know, these last 4 turf starts only. The 13's probably not going to draw in, so I just put him there. If they did draw in, I'd probably leave him here as a C. You know, um, so yeah, there we go. We're gonna try 3, 2, and 10 tomorrow at Tampa. If you have any questions, you can feel free to let me know. Yeah, thank you.